So really, I think the point of today's panel is to try and raise awareness, not just about beeswax and honey products, but also start to think about some of the other products that may provide a marketing opportunity for beekeepers in the Pacific region. It isn't always easy to actually add value to your beeswax products. In Australia, I can get online, order a whole bunch of different ingredients and packaging and make a number of different products. But here in Fiji and in Papua New Guinea as well, we've really seen some limitations with the quality of packaging and labelling, and also ensuring that we're using and utilising local ingredients and resources. So I think it's Karen's workshops this week have been an excellent example of using local resources to produce locally made products, which I think is a very powerful marketing, not gimmick, but capacity for marketing that we have here in Fiji and Papua New Guinea in particular. So we know Karen and we've met Romain, so I won't reintroduce everyone, but I do want to just quickly introduce Honey Joe. I know most of the people in the room will know him, but Joe makes some incredible products. He has this range of body balms. They're packaged beautifully. He's a producer of honey as well, and so I really thought, Joe, you would add some value to our panel today by kind of talking to everyone about some of the challenges you faced in getting your products off the ground. So I'd kind of like to start there. Well, actually, I might start with the audience. How many people in the audience, how many beekeepers process your beeswax? Oi, oi. Well, if you're not processing your beeswax, ladies and gentlemen, you are missing out on some really important extra value you could be adding into your bee business. Of those who process your beeswax, how many people have made a value-added product other than in the workshops this week? All right. So lots of potential to explore this as a topic, I think, today, which is excellent. So to our panel, my first question, what products do you make, and most importantly, what was your motivation for starting to make products from your bees?
Good everyone. As you all know, mentioned by Anneliese, I'm Honey Joe of Fiji Beekeepers, based in Vanuatu, on the second island of Fiji. So we've heard speakers and bachelors participating the past few days and even today. Well, I'm a bit different there because, as mentioned earlier on, started off from a remote area with no qualifications, just with resources I have around. So with some skills, my main product selling at the moment and is demand around Fiji is herbal body balm. And just adding scent to it from scented flowers and some scented leaves of various plants. That gives different choices. As we all know, when we're using perfumes or deodorants, we have our own specialties. Penaka.
Good morning. From my former experience, I will only talk about royal jelly. When we start beekeeping, we all learn about royal jelly and how important and how good it is for the queen and for the larvae inside of the hive. But then, if we ask again, how many people are doing royal jelly or has done royal jelly before? Oh, thank you, Alan. Yeah. What we realize, and even in New Caledonia, we've been talking about royal jelly for many, many years, and we thought we are teaching beekeepers how to doing it, but then they usually don't do it. And it's amazing because this product, we all know how good it is for human health. It can help us day to day to live better and to live longer. And it's another product from the bees, and it's kind of hard to produce because you need to be very constant in your work, but it's worth it. And the value of the royal jelly, it's amazing. If you count in, if Alan was speaking Fijian dollar, how much you spend, you send 10 grams of jelly, it's amazing. So I think for many beekeepers, this is a great opportunity to do something else with the hives.
So you've probably seen on our table the variety of value-added products that we make. We make a variety of different body balms, lip balms, we've tried candles, but that wasn't the first product that we made. We make chili sauce at our farm, and I started by just making a red hot chili sauce with a bongo chili. And then we thought, well, why don't we change it up a little bit and add some garlic and honey? And that's probably our most favorite chili sauce. And of course, we, in true Karen style, I never make anything small. I got to make the biggest batch and keep it. I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to making jams and jellies and chili sauces. So then my husband challenged me, you got to start selling some of this. So that's where I started with value added. And then when we took the first value added training class, sponsored through Live and Learn, that's when I learned how to make body balms. And realized that I was missing a huge opportunity with my beeswax. Because at that point, we really weren't rendering it. We were doing what a lot of people do out in the rural areas. We were just throwing it out or putting it in the fire. And now I render every little bit of beeswax I can, whether it's brood wax, honeycomb wax, or wax cappings. And there's something you can make with it all. So I think my challenge with making body care products is certainly initially finding the right type of containers to put my products in so that they were just a little bit better quality looking. And now my next challenge is actually to go into bigger production. So we produce a fair bit of small amounts, but we would really like to be able to get our products into the resort gift stores. And if we're going to do that, same as if you're going to export your honey or get your honey into a retail store, it's the same with your added value. You need to have a production plan so that you can make a consistent supply, consistent quality, and be able to meet your retail stores' demands. So that's our challenge that we're going to try and tackle over the next 6 months.
Romain, I know you said your wife produced beeswax wraps, and even with the royal jelly. I've actually got 2 questions. With the royal jelly, can you explain to our audience some of the health benefits and some of the logistical things? So how do you store royal jelly? Where do you find a market for that product? Those kind of issues that you might face.
Yeah. I think the first example is that the first thing is that royal jelly boosts the immune system of the body. And for the one who already took royal jelly for a few weeks, you know as well that it is like an energy booster, and it's amazing because you feel way more stronger when you take royal jelly on a good basis. It's a fresh product, so we are used to store honey, and storing honey is kind of easy. Royal jelly need to be in a fridge or in a freezer. Depending on the country, it's allowed or not to store the royal jelly in the freezer, because there are some studies showing that when you put the royal jelly in too low temperature and you freeze it, it loses some of its properties. Yeah.
And Honey Joe, Karen touched on some of the challenges of, making these beautiful I always admire your packaging. How did you go about obtaining your packaging and your labeling here in Fiji? I think there's lots of beekeepers who'd benefit from some tips on that.
Well, the challenges I faced with my products is, as well as Karen has mentioned, is to do with packaging. First of all, is materials that I've been using being exported from overseas. And when we came across the closure of borders, that was the main obstacle. Supplies weren't coming in, so we had to look for other options. Maybe use resources we have around just to fulfill the demand from customers. As they well know that it's effective on them, and as we've heard from past speakers concerning our bees, at times we have obstacles to do with disease and pests. Same goes for us humans. At times we have a breakout of some diseases. That's where the body balm comes in, very useful. Instead of spending a lot of cash going to see doctors and going for treatments in the pharmacies, we all know when we approach pharmacists and private doctors, they only give medications according to the recommendation or sickness you are suffering from. Whereas for body balm, you purchase it for a low cost, but the uses, they work differently for each customers. And I didn't get to know of this in the first place until the demand is so great and the feedback from customers. So the main challenges are just the packaging and to do with labeling. Many of you request asking or trying to find out where we are getting this from. Just from the partnership or business connectivity that we are facing at the moment, getting to know people, specialists for certain areas to do with business. It's just relatives good at IT, and then we get to connect with business people at our computer shops. So we get it for reasonable price. So that's how I get to meet the demand and supplies to customers.
So in terms of labeling, I use an app called Canva. It's available in a free and a paid subscription, and I use it to develop all of my labels. And it's very, very easy to use. I then download the image, and I can send that image to a local printer, or I can print it on the labeling pages that I buy myself. It's just that when you print on your own inkjet printer, you have to use a clear lacquer spray to spray the label before you put it on your part, or else, and I learned this from experience, I was at a market and it started to rain and I got raindrops on my labels and they all ran. So you do need to spray it with a clear lacquer. So that's my tips for labeling. Certainly you can go to a place like in Lambasa, there's A1 signs, and they can design a label up for you. But if you want to do that yourself, then there are apps that you can download on your phone for free and use the free version to develop your own label. And they're really easy to use.
Just to add on to what I've mentioned before about labeling, outside there's a lady selling some of my products, which we are in partnership. You might find that some labels contain some pictures of flowers. Those are taken just from our smartphones around our compound, flowers growing, planted by ladies or youth groups. And when it strikes me when I go past, when inspection of hives for individual farmers, it strikes me in the eye, then I just take the picture, just try and improve on the outlook of the picture and take it to computer shops for printing. So that's how it's done, that easy. Don't have to go elsewhere. So it's just within your range.
Yeah, just to share, my wife used to use a lot Canva as well for the labeling. And now she stopped doing beeswrap, but I remember spending so many hours at night doing the small packaging for every single beeswrap, you know, and it's this part of the time that this part of the job represents. I think it's very, very long, and often we don't project that it will be so long.
So I'll just comment on the costing of your products. Most of the time when we're thinking about the cost of a product, we just think of the cost of the oil, the wax, the essential oil, or just the ingredients that went into it. But the packaging costs are often more expensive than the ingredients that go in. But the packaging is what makes the difference between the product that you gift to your friends and family and a really nice professional presentation. And you need to also be aware of what the legal requirements are for on your label. So you do need to consider your brand, your product name, the weight of the product, and that's sort of what I usually put on the front end of the front label. On the back label or the bottom label, you need to include your ingredients. You need to include directions for use or any contraindications. And please remember to put your contact information on there so that if they have any issues or want to buy some more, that it's there. If you're selling a product that has an expiry date, like chili sauce or your honey, you need to keep your batch number and your expiry date as well. So there's a lot to the actual packaging end of it. And if you want to make your candles look special, then you have to think about how are you going to present them. Do you have some clear cellophane and some pretty ribbon? And that all costs money as well, and is fussy work, like you were saying. So you have to factor all that into the cost of your product, okay? And I think the other sort of thing that we don't tend to think about in terms of a cost is the time we spend marketing. So how much time are you going to spend at a table selling your product? You know, that's all should be included as well. Or are you going to sell it wholesale to a store that puts it on its shelf? Then you can drop your cost a little bit, sell more product.
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent point that you've brought up, is that time that goes into making these products and ensuring if you're selling them, make sure you're countering that into the value of your product, because I think like candles take time, body products take time, and then all of these niche bee products as well. There's things about storage that you need to consider that might cost you a bit extra to invest in. So I think they're really excellent points. Karen, I just wanted to touch on, because this concept of adding value to bee products, it doesn't just apply to bees and beekeeping, it kind of applies to all of agriculture. And I know you have a really diverse farm enterprise. I was just wondering if you can tell us a little bit about, you know, I guess, you know, why it's important for us to consider adding value to our agricultural produce more broadly, please.
So where we're located in Wainunu, Imbua, it's a very rural area, very long distance to any market, a market of any size. The closest market to us is Nambualu. It's a very small market. It's not a place where I'm going to actually make any big sales. So for me to take my products, whether it's chilies or passion fruit or pineapple to market, I have to travel 4 hours. So that's a long way. It's going to be a couple of days or more to go. When we first started growing chilies on our farm, we took them up to the Lambasa market to sell, and we did very well. And that went on great for a couple of trips. And then one time when I went up to the market, and I'm talking to the middleman in the Lambasa market, and he says, "I'm sorry, I'm not buying any more chilies today." Oh, what am I going to do with these 10 kg of chilies that I've brought all the way with me? And I'm here for a couple of days because I'm I've got all my other business stuff that I've got to do while I'm in town. By the time I go home, these chilies aren't going to be any good. What a waste. So it made me start thinking about how do I turn my perishable product into something that is shelf stable and higher value. So I know that I'm going to sell my chilies at $5 a kg. So 10 kg of chilies is only $50. It barely pays my gas to get to town and back. But if I can take my chilies and turn them into a nice chili sauce, package it well, label it well, now I'm going to be able to sell one chili sauce bottle for about $10. And it's shelf stable. So I don't have this tiny time frame that my produce is good for. I've now got it good for a couple of years, and during that time I'll be able to surely sell it, hopefully within the first few months after making it. And I'm going to make better money. So one of the things that we really consider on our farm is growing things that are either when we've harvested is fairly stable, shelf stable, or I can turn it into a product that is shelf stable. So you'll see that I've got passion fruit jam, guava jam, chili sauce. These are not honey, not bee products, except the chili sauce has got a lot of honey in it. And they're shelf stable, and they're higher value, and I can sell them anywhere. So
Thank you, Karen. And yeah, I will vouch, Karen's chili sauce is really delicious. So if anyone's looking to buy anything while they're here. Romain, I was talking to you yesterday. We had a really interesting conversation about how in New Caledonia you have a very professional honey competition and how that's helped to really promote New Caledonian honey. And I think there's a lot that can be taken from that by all of the associations and organisations that's here today. Could you tell us a little bit about how you structure your honey competition? Because I think when we talk about adding value to honey, we don't often just talk about marketing our honey really well. So could you explain a little bit to us about what you do in New Caledonia in relation to your honey competition?
Yeah, it's true that oftenly we don't think to promote honey as a gastronomic product. We have the chance to produce very unique honey, so I really think that we need to show the customer that the product deserve a very nice marketing and a very nice competition as well. And we've been doing a competition the Beekeeping Center has been doing a competition for more than 25 years. But at the beginning we were doing this competition during the animal fair that is running each year in New Caledonia, and we were testing the honey 50 meters away from where the pigs were staying. So it was very hard to be focused and to be able to smell and to taste the honey in the good way. And 5 years ago, we decided we realized that we needed to use this competition as the first step and an easy step to do a nice marketing for our product. So we asked, we were talking about Happy Mondia yesterday, and we asked the president of the Honey Commission of Happy Mondia to get to New Caledonia and to teach us how to taste honey, of course, and how to make the things well around the competition. And now we've been doing for a few years this new type of competition, and we invite famous cooking chef, if it's the good word, chef, to taste the honey. So we have half beekeepers that were trained we trained the beekeepers during 1 day and a half. So, and then we think they are able to be judged on the concourse, on the competition. And we have half chief and half beekeepers, and we are doing this in a very nice restaurant. So we are trying to create this very nice, creating this very nice story about how we need to put honey like very good wine or very good beer or very good any product you are doing, you know, and we realized that the TV and the radio and the newspaper just love that, and each year they are all here to be able to follow the event. And then we have these very nice stickers that the winner can put on their honey jar for a year, and this they are using it as a commercial argument, a commercial to do better promotion of their product. And finally, I think this is kind of easy to do, and it's very rewarding.
Thank you. I think that was a great explanation of the potential to actually market our honey by using these local competitions and raising the standards for beekeepers for their quality assurance as well. We do have to wrap up. I could keep talking all day, but is there any questions from the audience? Does anyone have any questions about? Oh, Jackie.
When you're developing a new product, whether it's with raw jelly or a body balm or a sauce, how do you decide what the shelf life is going to be or the expiry date to put on it?
So most of the products that we're making have no water content in them. So I'm not making lotions. And it's when you add water to your product where you really have to be very careful about shelf life, because there's the potential for bacterial growth. So the products that are just oil and beeswax actually have a very stable, long life shelf life. So I don't put an expiry date on those products. But if I was starting to make another kind of lotion, then I do need to consider that. For our honey here in Fiji, there's only a couple of beekeepers in Fiji that are able to market their honey without an expiry date, and they've gone through a quality assurance process in their processing center that allows them to do that. Most beekeepers in Fiji need to put an expiry date, and it's generally a 5-year expiry date on our honey here in Fiji. And that's got to do with the fact that the majority of our beekeepers are processing it in their kitchens, and some of those kitchens may be very basic and not meet sort of the standard health hygiene that we need to. Okay?
Honey Joe, do you have anything to add to that statement?
With my products, you can see out there that there is a logo from Poetco, still practicing on organic farming, but was certified by Loving Islands. And since I attended their training, I had to follow the guidelines from Organic Pacifica. So like I've mentioned before, it's on demand at the market. As one of the queen breeders has mentioned, with a supplementary feed, a period of time before you remove the feed. Well, with my products, I still can't make out what's the expiring date because it sells out that fast. So even today, while we are here in this room, I had an order from one of the executives, Fiji beekeepers, to be brought here, and I couldn't meet the demand that came because on my way from Honolulu to Nadi, my phone kept ringing every day. So I had to keep it at silence while I was in the Congress. With phone calls I've answered, I have to tell them once I'm done with the Congress, then I'll have to make your supplies. So I don't do my products on large sums, only on orders. I've been approached to sell the products, put them on the shelves in supermarkets, like I'd mentioned before, with the supplies and materials and some other challenges we face, that doesn't work for us. So, like I said, with practicing organic farming or products to be promoted in the country. Also, I promote the district or the province I came from, where living things is the surroundings are undisturbed. And one of the 4 regions in the country that is supported by Reach to Reef, inclusion with climate change. So not only I'm promoting my products, I'm also promoting my province and also promoting Fiji.
I think that's an excellent... Oh, do you want to... Romain? One more comment just from Romain and we'll wrap up.
Yeah, just to answer about the royal jelly, it's at the French standard, it's 18 months to keep it fresh and 4 degrees, dry, cool. Yeah. And for honey in New Caledonia, just we have a 2 years, but it's not an expiring date. It's the best before, and we put 2 years on that. And on the bees wrap, we don't put any date.
Thank you very much, everyone. Honey Joe, Romain and Karen, thank you so much for joining me for this panel. I hope everyone maybe learnt something or learned a little bit more about a product they hadn't realised you could actually make from your bees. So can you please give our wonderful panellists a round of applause?